Welcome to the Impact Evolution podcast. I'm your host, Coach Andy James. I've put this podcast out here to provide support, guidance, and insight through real life experience that I've learned so that you can impact your life through my lessons. This is raw guidance that will help you evolve your body, brain, business, or career. My purpose is to help you build, grow, and evolve into the best version of yourself to live a healthy, wealthy, fulfilled life. Welcome to this episode. Enjoy. Growth. Let's talk about growth. I think this is a word that is very, very much misused these days. And I wrote something down actually that I want to read to you before I get into this. So it reads as, you only see growth when the graph is showing you your peak of progress. Growth often looks like the huge fall before the next greatest climb. It got me thinking. Every single journey that I've ever been on, every single peak of progress, the thing that we kind of see the reward for of all of the effort that we've been given, usually follows with a great fall afterwards. Now, you can look at this as, well, am I really progressing? And I think a lot of people will take away that whole, if there's a fall after the progress, was it really progress to begin with? And I would completely and totally disagree, because it's okay achieving that height of that newest thing that you've been putting all of your time, attention, and effort towards. But the reality is that that's probably not going to be the thing that keeps moving you forwards long term. There's got to be a fall that comes afterwards for you to be able to grow as an individual that then shows you where you're going on that next greatest climb. Now, this might be a short-term thing. It might be take a couple of weeks or a couple of months, or it might be something that you work towards for a couple of years. But the reality being is that the growth in what you're really looking for, the progress that you're actually contributing to, you've got to expect the roller coaster ride along the way. Some are going to be the greatest of heights. Some are going to be the greatest of lows. But what you need to know is that every single step that you are taking, you're taking for a purpose. There's a reason behind it. Now, if you don't know where the reasons are and you don't know what the reasons are, then there's a little bit more work that needs to be done. And by doing that, you need to kind of isolate those small areas in your life to be able to say, right, well, what needs attention right now? What are the things that I'm lacking? I look at this as often as, what tools do I have in a toolbox? And if I have all of the tools, then I'll have everything that I physically need right now to be able to make that progress moving forwards. But if I'm lacking one specific tool, and it might be a specialist tool, then where do I go to get this? Where do I reach out for this? Who can I speak to? What means can I have that I can now introduce this to my entire toolbox? I look at this as a way to help me move forwards with growth and progress. So what I want you to think about moving forward with growth is, don't ever assess where you currently are now as the pinnacle of everything that you've achieved, because there's so much more out there. If you keep taking those lessons, if you keep kind of exploring where those falls take you, and knowing that if you've got majority of the tools to get you back to where you were, perfect. But there might be a specialist tool that takes you to your next greatest height. And again, that's perfect too, because that's expanding you as a whole. That's expanding you as an individual. And to get to where you want to go, there's sometimes things that we're not actually fully equipped with straight out of the gate to know that we've got everything in our hand to be able to get to where we need to be. It's usually the fall often usually exposes what's needed in the requirements of the next push. And that fall is really where the lesson is learned. That's really where the growth is fully expanded on. It's not so much at the peak of the performance, at the top of the graph, but it's usually often in the fall where we find the greatest part of who we need to become to take that next greatest climb. So if you're focusing on growth right now, if growth is something for you that's really helping you move forwards, what I would massively recommend is taking a step back and assessing how narrowly am I looking at growth right now? What is it that I'm really looking at in the sense of achievements? Because if I'm looking at growth as so short term, what is it long term that I'm really working towards? Because you become short term sighted. And what we want to do is use growth as a long term sight, not a short term sight. So if you can adjust how you view growth, you'll adjust how you progress moving forwards. Speak to you soon. If you're still here at this point, thank you. I appreciate your support and I hope you got some value from this podcast. If you did, we grow by word of mouth, so sharing this podcast with a friend or to your social media profile would be a huge honor. Thanks again. Hope to catch you in the next one. Take care.